This is episode Z, Zombie Apocalypse. Would your relationship survive? Feeling connected is a basic human need, as vital as air, water, and food. I'm here to talk about bridging the gap between ourselves, our friends and family, life partners, and anyone we come in contact with so we can more fully experience connection. Man, this is it. Season 4, last episode. I don't quite want to say finale. That seems like a little much. But I told myself today that I should begin planning the Z episode for next season right now so I can end on a bang. Because you've heard me say it before, as I get to the end of a season, I'm so looking forward to the next one. And also, even though I'm experiencing teacher life on a much smaller scale, I'm still feeling that end of year itch for sure. So that doesn't help. And this winter has been dreary. Needless to say, it was a struggle to follow through with this episode, but I'm doing it. I'm here. Let's do this. I am so excited for season 5, though. There have been some new developments, and depending on how 3 different things go, it could be really good. Stay tuned, watch for updates, looking to start May-ish or summer, but sooner than later. Okay, so relationships surviving a zombie apocalypse. And I thought I was so clever coming up with this topic, but turns out it's old news. It's been done before. It was around 2010-ish that I saw it when I looked it up. But you know what? It's time for a revisit, right? It's been a while, been a decade or so. And I wasn't in a relationship then, so actually I might have been, but nothing too big and lasting. Bottom line though, whatever your relationship status, this could apply to friends or family members. It's mostly through the lens of a marriage, but take what you want, leave the rest. But we know with any adversity or crisis or stress on a relationship that you can either grow closer together or further apart. So, where do you feel like you identify lately? A lot of times I feel like I just want my space. I want to process things, but other times, if it's a joint experience especially, I feel like we definitely come out on the other end stronger. For this zombie apocalypse scenario, I've come up with 3 steps to surviving together. The first is draw on each other's strengths. You know the old adage, divide and conquer. In our marriage, Jared doesn't really do smelly things, so I've taken on all the poopy diapers. And honestly, I really don't care. There are other things that I would rather he do, and I really just don't mind. I could care less. It doesn't bother me. Same with throw up. It doesn't faze me. I believe growing up it was my dad who did all those things for my mom, so I don't know. Maybe it just depends on your senses. It's not that Jared refuses. I just want to take that off his plate and don't want him to have to endure that. I still see him hold his breath every time he has to change one. Even if it's just pee, honestly. Don't tell him I told you. He might be embarrassed. I don't know. I don't love loading the dishes and just sifting through all the grimy, gross dishes. If they're rinsed, it's totally fine. But that's one thing that Jared does a lot for me is loading the dishwasher. So I appreciate that. Give and take. Anyway, just divide and conquer, draw on your strengths, what you really can offer. Again, applying it to the apocalypse, Jared would probably be the fighter. I would be more of the flight, runaway type. And who knows, in a stressful situation like that, you might find strengths you never even knew you had. Number 2, have an emergency plan or some sort of preparedness in place before it gets to crisis mode or this disaster or whatever it may be. When Jared and I were getting married, we received the advice, or rather the caution, I guess, of the leading causes of divorce. And money was one of them. And we sure have found that that's one of our weaknesses as a couple. So we've tried to talk through that and maybe what would happen in a case of financial crisis or disaster. Could be helpful to identify a weak spot or problem area in your relationship. And also things like find a meeting spot and have that designated, build up your food storage, think about what the kids might need. And that's so hard because kids are always growing and their needs change and stuff. Also in this area are things like establishing beneficiaries, making a will and a trust. I'll just throw in here that Jared has created a template if you do want a will or need it updated. If you're new here, my husband is an estate planning attorney. We personally need to get on this because even though he has that status, we don't have an updated will. So yeah, I'm taking that advice too. And lastly, step 3, watch each other's backs. This kind of goes along with the last one too, because you need to anticipate each other's needs. Look out for one another, be selfless, but not entirely. Still keep some of that selfishness because you also need to watch out for you. Defend each other, even if you don't agree on something, still be there for support and love. All the things. Okay, that's it for this episode. But before I end, I will do just a small little preview for next season. So yeah, like I mentioned, big things are coming. As of right now, the topic is still emotional resilience. I figured it would be good to talk more about what to do and how to respond to the adversity in our lives. And I don't know exactly what it's going to look like yet, but yeah, just some more practical tools, hands-on application, things like that. On Instagram, I added the description that this is a women's support group, and yeah, I just really want us to be there for each other and to have a place to go, to connect, to talk about our adversity and just what's going on in life. And I think I've mentioned this before, but it takes a village to raise a child, but we also need that village because women need women. People need people. It's just how we're wired. My current goal is still to open an event center one day, and so this podcast is a great vehicle to find future clientele and just, again, other women that are experiencing the same things that we are, or other things so that we don't have to, or just a place to vent and commiserate and celebrate life and all that entails. Thank you for joining me for another season. That's a wrap.